So one of my favorite comic books or comic series is uh, X-Men because I wish I had those mutations. All right, this is Norse Teaches Science, starring Mr. Norse Biology Edition, and today I present DNA mutations. Video goal: I can express the results of malfunctions during the cell division and DNA replication process. So we're going to talk about mutations, and I know I said X-Men and mutations. That's not what type of mutations is going to happen. We're talking more kind of more subtle mutations, but mutations do happen. And what a mutation is a change in the nucleotide sequence of DNA. It can occur in either somatic cells or gametes. Just depends on which one is if you can pass them to your offspring. If a DNA happens in a somatic cell, they aren't passed on to the offspring. Those are happening in your body cells, and they have no help. They don't factor in for when you do reproduction. Now, if a mutation happens in a gamete, like an egg cell or a sperm cell, then you can pass on those mutations to your offspring. And that's one of the notions over evolution and survival of the fittest is that they have your mutations have to be able to pass on to your offspring. But that's how it is. As you can see to the right, here's a couple mutations. Here's a two-headed turtle, and at the bottom, this is a person with two different eye colors in one eye. I actually had a student that had something similar to this. It was really small, a little sliver of green in their brown eye, but they had a mutation. So I refer to it every time I talk about the subject. So what can cause mutations? Well, one, chemicals can cause mutations. We're talking about stuff like um, smoking or vaping, some foods we eat, even some of the cosmetic stuff that we use, they all have chemicals in there and they could actually cause mutations. UV or other radiation, so we're talking like you have sunlight. If you get a sunburn, that is actually damaging your DNA, and that's one reason why the skin peels because we're trying to get rid of those damaged DNA cells. Other ones like X-rays, they can actually have a big effect on causing mutations. That's why when you get an X-ray, say you get one at the dentist office, they place the lead vest over you, and so it's protecting certain areas so it's not damaged in the mutations and cause mutations. You can also have mutations in DNA replication errors. So when the DNA replicates, sometimes errors happen. Just like if you're copying your friend's homework, you're going to accidentally not copy something correctly. And it's definitely noticeable by the teacher when you're copying your friend's work because you also make the same mistakes as them. Hint, hint, don't copy your friend's work, do it yourself. Um, Cellular division errors: when cells divide, sometimes the chromosomes don't separate correctly, and so you have an issue there. And some viruses can actually cause mutations when they in the cell themselves. So, but are mutations helpful or harmful? Well, that's hard to answer. Each mutation is different upon itself. Sometimes mutations just happen regularly, and some of those mutations are neutral. They don't change anything that happens within the cell. It doesn't change the protein or the amino acid sequence, so it's neutral. Sometimes mutations can improve an organism's survival. You can see that over here. We have this bird here who has a short beak trying to get this worm. This is the same bird, but it has a mutation to have a longer beak, so it can get the worm. So it was helpful to them. And sometimes it can be harmful, like genetic disorders. I'm going to cover a lot of genetic disorders when we get into videos about genetics, but genetic disorders actually can cause big damage to someone, even death. So they can be harmful as well. So mutations can be neutral, um, beneficial, or harmful, but it all depends on what it does to the protein or the amino acid sequence. So mutation locations. So you can have a chromosome mutation, which means you're changing the chromosome structure. You're losing part of it, you're gaining part of it, Or you can have a gene mutation where we're going to change the actual nucleotide sequence, the ATGC sequence. It may even involve one single nucleotide, or it can involve a couple. So it just depends on what happens. So let's talk about some types of mutations. We have deletion. If you think about it, if you delete something, you get rid of something. In a chromosome, that means we're going to lose part of it. You can kind of see that up here. We're losing part of a chromosome. Or in a new, and say it's a gene thing, we lose one of the letters. So we lost this whole part right here. It was just deleted. It was gone. Something just happened during the replication process, and it's just gone. Inversion. This is when things are flipped. So in the gene sequence, you can see it in this first picture here. It's TGCA, but in the inversion, it goes ACGT. Things got switched backwards. In chromosomes, that means part of the chromosome gets flipped. You can see the change right here. All right, you can see where it got flipped. Nothing's lost, it's just the order got changed. Duplication is kind of like what it sounds like. Part of it got duplicated. So I only have a picture right up here as a chromosome, but it works the same way. The B got written twice. Kind of like saying the DNA said A, T, C, C, G, and then all of a sudden it says A, T, T, C, C, G. That would be a duplication. We replicated that T. Non-disjunction, this only works with chromosomes, and this is more one of the cellular division error mutations. As you can see, remember, all the chromosomes are all the cells are supposed to get the same number of chromosomes. But if you look at this blue one, it was supposed to split in half here, but it didn't. One cell got more chromosomes and the other one got not enough chromosomes. And this is sometimes how very big mutations and genetic disorders can happen. The next one is called translocation. It involves two chromosomes, so this is a chromosome thing, that aren't homologous, means they don't have the same genes. And so where part of one chromosome is transferred to another. So if you look at the picture here, here's one, here's the other, and you can see the E's and the EFG got switched. And they shouldn't have, because they shouldn't have done anything. And this is a process, this would happen during during cellular division. In substitution, this is one gene is changed to a different gene, or when one nucleotide is changed to a different nucleotide. So we have this original one and we have this A, and then somehow something got mutated and that A became a G. So it could be big. It could cause some trouble with that now that it's G instead of A. A point mutation is a change of a singular nucleotide. It includes deletion, insertion, or substitution of one nucleotide in a gene. Those are usually what they are. A point mutation is just a classification of it. We just know exactly where it's happening. In this case, this T became a C, so this was substitution. And the last thing is called frameshift mutation. It's done with inserting or deleting one or more nucleotides. And what happens is it changes how everything's read. So if you look at the picture here, we have our DNA, but something happened and this G here got deleted. So it changed where the codons happened. So it changed what amino acids happen. And this is very bad. When amino acid sequence changes, then the trait or whatever the protein is gets messed up and the body gets a mutation based off it. So we can I have an example here, and this doesn't even involve looking at DNA. So I have this original sentence and it says, the fat cat ate the wee rat. And what happened was an A was inserted before the A in cat. If you notice, all of these words were 3 letters. Now it changes the whole sentence and it reads, the fat cat ta eth iwa era ti. You don't even know what I said after fat, because it changed how everything is read and how it would happen. And that means if this was trying to build a certain protein, it would build the protein Wrong. There's so much more about mutations out there. I'm just scratching the surface on what could happen. Um, so I suggest going over to Google, going over to other YouTube videos, looking and watching stuff about mutations and learn more about it. But I hope you learned a little bit today about mutations or something. And this is Mr. Norris, and he is out for this video.